All right, welcome back. In a significant diplomatic move, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has proposed a 4-point formula to ease border tensions and improve ties with China. The proposal came during a bilateral meeting with Chinese Defence Minister Admiral Dong Jun, held on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the summit, which happened in Qingdao. Sources told India Today TV the plan includes strict adherence to the 2024 disengagement roadmap, sustained efforts towards de-escalation, expediting the process of border delimitation and demarcation, and activating the existing special representative level mechanism to build new frameworks for managing differences. During the meeting, Rajnath Singh also raised the issue of Pakistan-sponsored cross-border terrorism, making it clear that India remains firm on its stand. He referred to Operation Sindoor as India's principled position in response to terrorism threats emanating from across the border. This high-level interaction comes just days after Rajnath Singh declined to sign the Shanghai Cooperation Organization document that he believed would have weakened India's position on terrorism and diluted the global attention on the recent Pahalgam terror attack. Well, we are going to talk about this on our show. Joining us on the program is Major General G. Dwivedi, defense expert. Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, former diplomat, is with us on the program as well. Sumit Peet, senior political commentator. Adit Kothari, foreign affairs expert, joins us on the show as well. General Dwivedi, I will begin with you. Well, forget about, such a thing being put out in a document. It's bizarre and pretty diluted as a geopolitical, diplomatic policy and engagement rule that an episode like Pahalgam was completely obliterated from this document. In something like Balochistan, a fight which is being fought for the right reasons because they are oppressed is being mentioned. What do you make of this omission and India's reaction?
Well, Vineet, the point is such forums like Shanghai Cooperation Organization, they are Chinese driven, and these institutions are basically to counter the Western institutions. So therefore, when a organization like Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the name itself indicates that it is a Chinese driven organization. The members, 4 members are from the SCO, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, and Russia and China, of course, India and Pakistan. So now point is that we know where China stands vis-a-vis Pakistan. We don't require proof. You have ample proof what happened in Sindoor and how Chinese and Pakistani, strategic intents are converging. Chinese have invested on the China-Pakistan economic corridor, which runs through Balochistan. They're very sensitive about it. So therefore, it's obvious that Chinese will always toe the Pakistani line. And for them, Pahalgam is inconsequential. So therefore, I think firstly, I generally, I don't know why should we be there in such forums, totally isolated and on defensive, and when Chinese are calling the shots, and when a whole forum is on the Chinese, I would say, camp, but we are isolated. The second point, along with that, I think your discussion is also on the de-escalation. I'm sure you will come to that. But the point at this time is that India must understand where the Chinese and Pakistanis stand. They are, very, I would say, allied, all seasoned partners. Their relations are deeper than oceans and higher than mountains. So I think we should not be surprised. And when we go on such forums, we should be prepared for such a eventuality, because that's how the whole dice is set in such, I would say, organization or the forum. So this doesn't come as a surprise, and we had no option but not to sign that declaration, because it only covers one side of the terrorism, which concerns Pakistan and China. It doesn't look at the other side, which is our concern. So therefore, I think that was rightly done by the defense minister not to sign such a document. And secondly, I think when we are isolated, I would say we should not even participate or send some junior participants or junior ministers who can actually have a nominal presence but not get embarrassed. Vineet.
Valid point, sir. Sumit Peer also joins us on the program. Sumit, well, you know China and the pathology of Pakistan like the back of your hand. What do you make of the SCO summit as a platform which practices, righteousness? That's saying a lot for something that is being headed by China and is being, co-piloted by Pakistan. Omitting Pahalgam is not only hurtful, but it also tells you that this is a forum which is partial, that this is a forum which believes in a particular kind of hegemony and does not value or appreciate organic growth, organic friendship, and being part of a relationship with the right values. That's exactly why the Defence Minister Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh took objection to this document, which had no mention of Pahalgam.
Vineet, thank you for having me on your show, and in fact a good question to begin with. Vineet, if you want to sum it up, there are 11 or 12 points which I want to say what this is about. Look, they thought the blood of Indians can be spilled and India will live with it. There was a time when Mumbai attacks happened, and then next day there were these, what was this, Hafiz Saeed's favorite journalists which were showing people going to the work and showing it was resilience of India. In a way, you were giving a message, you can kill Indians, you can spill the blood of Hindus, but it doesn't matter. India will go back to its work, that's what we all do, so it doesn't matter. That was the kind of message which was given. Pahalgam changed everything. After Pahalgam, 2-3 things are out of the box. First is those dossiers. Dossiers don't work, right? Direct action works. Second thing is UN-style diplomacy, those back channels, those front channels, those round the table talks, they don't work. Diplomacy of restaurant does not pay. Point number 3. And those Obama-style talks, what they try to sign a deal with Iran, that doesn't work. Operation Midnight Hammer was another benchmark to that. After these two important events which happened, now the way to survive and the way to be is preemptive strikes. Is that preemptive? It's not reactive. You don't have to talk about restraint. What India was told and what we have been told before SCO and all, you said, look, you have to be part of these bigger forums and you should not bring your small issues into the forums, because the forums are for a bigger cause. Humanity ki baat ho rahi hai, world peace ki baat ho rahi hai. There are a lot of bigger things we are talking. Why are you bringing those small things? So India refuses that doctrine and that set rule against under Prime Minister Modi. Second thing, if an Indian blood is spilled, it's okay. You have a population of 1.45 billion. How does 26 people matter? India has foregone that doctrine. No, it doesn't matter. If a drop of Indian blood is spilled, we don't want to be in that forums. Point number 3, we were told restrain. We don't believe in restraint any longer, right? Point number 4, we were told, you have to be at those high tables. Listen to them, what do they say, but you may or may not agree. So Rajnath Singh ji did not only not sign that, he walked out of this, because I'm not here to have your chai and samosa if you're not talking Pahalgam. I'm not interested in your Chinese circus. That is what I call it. Point number 6, we're told, if you want to have allies, learn to be more compatible, learn to be more diplomatic. We don't give a damn to that kind of a diplomacy which doesn't count for Indian blood spilled. That is a new doctrine. And 6th thing is that in those, if you're in a country, it's China, you have to give face to them. You cannot snub on the face. You have to be politically correct. We have said, no, we don't want to be politically correct. Even before that, if you see Mr. Doval was there one day back, he also questioned and called out their double standards. You are talking is hypocrisy. You can't have a pact between, Lashkar-e-Taiba and China, because Lashkar-e-Taiba might operate from Pakistan, but when it comes to blocking Hafiz Mohammad Sayed in UN, China will go and block that. So if you have this joint venture which is going on, India is not going to take that. And if you want us to be a part of those forums, those tables, and you want us to sit there, listen to your crap, have a tea, and then say, okay. And then you were told, look, at the bigger world good, at the bigger sanctity of the forums, don't bring your bilateral small issues in that. We said our so-called small little issue, what you assume and presume it is bigger than your forum. You may say there are contradictions in the SCO. Yes, we say yes, there are contradictions in the SCO, but India will not keep silent at the cost of blood spilled. So if Indian blood is spilled, you want us to be silent because we want to maintain some kind of a decorum and fora of the SCO, because you were telling us SCO is an alternate to the G20, SCO is alternate to NATO. We are not interested in that jargon. And our yesterday's posture of Mr. Doval and Mr. Rajnath Singh, it is the new style of diplomacy which I call military diplomacy, where you keep military ko samne rakh ke aap diplomacy ki baat karte ho. You are not talking that passive diplomacy, you are not talking that reactive diplomacy, you are not talking of sting on the French that diplomacy. So you snubbed China and Pakistan right on their face, on their land, in their territory, in their Guam. What was that Guam? Guam is the biggest Chinese naval base. Exactly, they do it after Hague NATO summit. They wanted to send a message, but after this snub, I think they are literally trying to cover their face. They never expected Bharat to do this, because after Sindoor, if what Modi ji said yesterday, 22 minutes में हमने पाकिस्तान को तबाह कर दिया. Then Mr. Doval, then Mr. Rajnath Singh ji yesterday. I think now we are talking about as Bhartis, if we know Shastra Gyan, we also know Shastra Gyan. So depending on our Gyan, we will determine what is good for us, what is not good for us. What is not working for us is not working for your forum only. And we can't be a thing wherein you can manage and manipulate us. We single-handedly made sure there is no declaration, joint declaration of SCO. It's like exactly when Trump walks out of G7, there was not a great result there. Exactly we did in that moment. If our interests are not taken care of, we do not give a damn to what your forum is and whoever you are. It's not a message to SCO. It's a message to BRICS. It's a message to G20. It's a message to G7. Or it's even a message to United Nations. If our interests and our things are not considered, we are not going to walk the talk. And incidentally, let me talk about two things more. One day before this meeting, this Arab Times, Arab News, they came up with the article. You know what was that article nicely crafted about? Pakistan is a victim of terror. Second highest ID deaths happen in Pakistan. These many people got killed. These many things got killed. That was a Islamic smoke screen to give a world impression. Pakistan to bichara atangwad ka mara hua. They are sufferers of terrorism. They don't groom, they don't develop, they don't breed terrorists. They're sufferers. That was just before one that. And exactly what did they try to pull a quick one there? They tried to take out Pahalgam. And based on that article, they tried to get in Balochistan there. Because that article had three things in it. Balochistan, Tehrik-e-Taliban and ISIS-K. ISIS-K they don't like and ISIS-K Taliban doesn't like. Balochistan and TTP were equated with ISIS-K, and they were saying maximum deaths and terror is happening in Balochistan. So what they wanted to do here, they wanted to take out Pahalgam, where actually terror and terrorism happened, and they wanted to get the freedom struggles of Balochis as terror, and they wanted India to sign to that. What would have it meant? It would have meant that you khud keh rahe ho, after that, if you would have signed, it means Pahalgam never happened. If Pahalgam never happened, why did you do Operation Sindoor? Is that Hindu chauvinist aggression? Is that aggression of Modi, or is this aggression of BJP what you did? So because you're saying Pahalgam never happened, and they would have strategically put us against the Balochis. So they would go and say, look, Balochistan, look, Baloch people, India is working against your interests, India is against you, let's combine together and do jihad against India. There were a lot of stones they were trying to, hit with one bird, with one stone, imagining, assuming and presuming it's China. And India will continue to give them those space. India will try to be politically correct, and India will try to respect the situation, what traditionally the policy has been. But after Sindoor and after this midnight hammer, everything in the world has changed. Every doctrine, everything has changed. Those biryani diplomacies, those Goshtaba interlocutors, those Mohali cricket matches, those UN talks, back channel talks, front channel talks, Oman mein baat, yahan baat, they've all gone down the drain. If you have to survive, you have to talk of your interests first. If the world can talk of our interests, we are with you. If you are not, I may say with due respect, we don't give a damn to what you are and what your forum is and where your forum is. We'll push the papers on the papers on the table and walk out of it and call it a goodbye. You want to see that it is a fragmented, there's contradiction, let it be fragmented, let it be contradiction. अगर हमारी बात नहीं होगी, हम आपके तमाशे में शामिल होने को तैयार नहीं है. If our interests are not taken care of, we are not going to be part of this show business which you as a geopolitical forum.
Let me also open. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let me also open Ambassador Dayal into this conversation. Ambassador Dayal, this is obviously a situation which India is peeved with, but the fact of the matter is that once again China has shown this unsolicited support towards Pakistan and unsolicited omission of a terrorist attack which led to a crisis which could have resulted in a nuclear standoff. What do you make of the fact that the Chinese have taken it very lightly, that India is upset over this?
Well, Mr. Sumit Pure has very correctly emphasized the importance of national interests for India and for any other country. He very correctly pointed out that if our national interests are being adversely impacted, we are not going to attend even a meeting such as the SCO. We'll walk out, he said, bang the papers and leave. That's the right thing. If your national interests are being hurt, you should not take part in anything which is being held or organized, even if it's a multilateral meeting. Now, China's interests matter to it. And Pakistan has been playing an important role in that regard. You know, Pakistan had given away territory which it was occupying in Jammu and Kashmir. It had given away territory which it had seized from India because of whatever happened long back in regard to the activities in Jammu and Kashmir. And the Pakistanis gave it away to China, and in return, they bought China's friendship. Now, China uses Pakistan, everybody knows it. And for that reason, China is prepared to fund Pakistan, arm Pakistan, as long as it serves China's interests. Now, China has invested too much money, and a lot of money is probably going down the drain because the security situation in Pakistan is such that the Chinese are worried. Chinese nationals are being killed. So there are many voices within China which are raising questions about the feasibility of continuing to invest in Pakistan. As it is, Pakistan is able to pay back sometimes the annual debt to China, sometimes it's not able to do that. So there are questions whether Pakistan is an asset or a liability. If the Chinese were wise enough, they would have broken off this sort of a relationship, because I think they should realize that Pakistan is becoming a liability. However, it seems at the moment they are continuing to support Pakistan in every manner possible. And that is why in the recent incidents which have happened in the context of India-Pakistan relationship, they have gone the whole hog to support Pakistan. They have shielded all of Pakistan's mischief. They have given Pakistan weaponry when Operation Sindhu was going to be launched. So in other words, they are standing by with Pakistan. And both sides have been proclaiming, as they've been doing in the past, that their friendship is an all-weather friendship. Now, how do we in India look at things? We have made it clear to the Chinese that we are prepared to work towards a good relationship. You know, maybe recall that Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and the Chinese President Xi Jinping had a meeting on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in October last year. And Prime Minister had said that the India-China relationship is very important, not only for our people, but also for global peace. Now, we have put across matters very clearly. It's now up to the Chinese, but they are not seeing matters any differently as compared to what they have done. In other words, they are maintaining a rigid stand. So we have to be on guard. We have to make sure that our borders are defended. We have to make sure that Chinese encroachments should be pushed back. We have to make sure that if the Chinese resort to any sort of mischievous activity, we are alert and we are able to handle that. However, to expect China to change its position on Pakistan at this stage may be asking for too much. Let us see how things shape out. Pakistan has found a new friend in the United States, who again is wanting to use Pakistan for its own interests. The thing with Pakistan is that it allows itself to sit in the laps of the big powers. It does not have any self-respect. On the other hand, India will not allow itself to be used. India pursues a policy of multi-alignment. India understands what strategic autonomy is, and therefore neither are we aligned with anyone, nor do we want to oppose anybody. And that is why we have made it very clear to the Chinese that while we want to have a good relationship with them, we are prepared to do everything possible. Our defense minister listed out 4 important points on which both sides have to take action to further the relationship. But
Fair
at the
enough,
same time, if they expect us to sign something like the SCO declaration, then we are not going to do so. And our defense minister did absolutely the right thing by conveying to the Chinese a very clear and categorical message.
Absolutely right, sir. You're spot on. Adit, this is exactly what China does. There could be de-escalation at the border, but knowing the history and the histrionics between both the countries, don't let what China does fool you by what they're doing behind your back.
So I think beneath, if we look at the SCO in general, right, despite the multiple attempts to sort of try and copy the way Western organizations and institutions function, the SCO has failed. Regardless of all of the pomp and pompous and the bureaucratic structure and the kind of spending it involves on a yearly basis, it is at the end of the day just an empty shell which is unable to achieve anything beyond the bilateral meetings. This is probably the third time, if I'm not mistaken, where things have come to a complete standstill, and this is despite one of the core security functionalities of the SCO is something called the RATS, which is the Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure, which basically looks at military exercises and ensures that security concerns of all of the participating members is something which is discussed, and anti-terrorism issues are basically discussed in this particular forum. The Article 7 of this particular institution points out that cross-border terrorism is something that we must uproot as a collective society. So at this point, that particular argument, that particular document is not being upheld. And as a consequence, which is why the SCO, despite its pompous show, is a complete and utter failure. Not to mention that the angle of India-Pakistan with the compounded China angle also makes it very, very bearing. And China has its own interests, like the speakers before me have outlined, that because China has interest in Balochistan, of mining, of the Belt and Road Initiative, the CPEC corridor, which is why it is in their interest to ensure that they can pander to the whims and fancies of Pakistan and call the liberation war out in Balochistan within the official communications. Obviously, that is not something which India is going to stand to, and that is on the basis that you are completely disregarded on what has happened in Pahalgam with the 26 lives which were taken at gunpoint. So costly bureaucratic structure. It's not feasible anymore. India's stance over here is pretty much on the lines of, we've come here. If things do not pan out as per our whims and fancies, and you're not addressing our red lines, which is basically cross-border terrorism, then we're not interested to have any conversation with you. We will have our bilateral discussions with you. We will talk about delimitation. We will talk about our border issues. And from there on, we will just go past without signing any official documentation.
All right. General Dwivedi, Aditya, you have a good point. General Dwivedi, though it may be peaceful at the borders with China, but we can rest assured when it comes to ideology and when it comes to their, primary differences with what India stands for, that's never going to go away.
Absolutely, we need to go a little deeper as far as China is concerned, rather than looking at event by event. China has 3-4 very important, strategic, I would say, priorities. First priority is peaceful periphery. They don't want any big power around them, and therefore that is their first agenda, that they want weak neighbors, and therefore they will continue to ensure that India remains weak. The second point is that they have stated very clearly that they would like to settle border on their terms. And repeatedly they are saying Arunachal is our territory. They enacted new border law in 2022. They have created about 750 Shaukangs that in modern villages, 1/3 are on the borders. Then they have keep naming and renaming Chinese names on around the LAC. So what does it indicate? That China's deeper intent is to keep India under check, and which is the most valuable asset. That is Pakistan. Please remember, Pakistan is the best proxy for Chinese. Currently and previously, our whole focus now has shifted to Pakistan. We are blindsided to China. That is what exactly the Chinese want. That they want India to be, entangled in South Asia geographic region and not look beyond. and that is the larger interest of Chinese. So please remember that Chinese are not interested in solving the border issue. And I have been in China as defense attaché, can tell you with certain degree of credibility. They have very stated strategic intent, and that is to keep India under check and keep India entangled with Pakistan. And my last point is, look, our defense minister has put forward the 4 points, but what happens to the agreement from 1993 till 2013? And as a defense attaché, I am privy to these, most of the agreements. Where do we look at these agreements? Are they now all consigned to history after the 2020 PLA aggression in Leh and Ladakh, where I commanded my battalion? The point is, we need to ask some tough questions to Chinese. That is the start point Kazan 2024, or is the start point 1993? I think these are an issue we must talk hard with Chinese, because if we mean business, then we need to put across to Chinese that the border issue now cannot be shifted to 2024. We have to go back to 1993. And lastly, we stated to Chinese we want the status quo to be restored. That is May 2020 status quo. Today we are talking about de-escalation and we are talking about new protocols. I think that is not going to work with Chinese, because Chinese understand only one language, language of strength and toughness. We got to be very tough and tell them that, look, we need to relook at the whole issue and right from 1993, and we cannot now open the new chapter for 2024. Vinit.
All right, we've run out of time, but Sumit, you wanted to make a quick point. Go ahead.
We need 2 or 3 points. First of all, I agree with what General Saab is saying. He's completely right. You cannot redefine and as and when it pleases you. First of thing, we have to reduce the trade with China. Our trade with China should not be more than $20-30 billion. Chinese only understand the language of power. There is no other language they understand. Diplomatic, kuch nahi samajh aata unko. Third thing, what you have to keep on building your military strengths to the proposition where you can handle a possible China, Pakistan and Bangladesh together. So that has been where the new quantum has been. Look, at the end of the day, why does Israel survive? It's because of the brute military power. If Israel did have that power, it would have been crushed and blown to smithereens. And all kind of treaties you might have with neighbors who are driven by this fascist mentality and this communist ethos, they don't matter. And let me remind you, sir, according to Mike Pompeo, he says when it comes to Chinese Communist Party, it doesn't matter if you're 10,000 miles away, you are a frontline state to them. Everybody on planet Earth is a frontline state to them. You have to know whom you are dealing with. You have to call this Chinese bluff. I call it the Chinese bluff. Call the Chinese bluff. Tell them this what is it is. I think yesterday was the first right step in the right direction. I hope and pray that is how we are going to do. We are not dying for peace. We are not trying to make the things equal. It has to be at the equal, at mutual terms. If you want, okay. You don't want, let it be. We know where we are standing, but constantly reduce trade with China. That is the most important aspect. I'm not talking of deficit. Deficit baad mein aayega. You should not have more than $10-20 billion of trade with China, because the quantum of trade we have with China and we give them $70 billion as trade deficit is something which we should not be giving them and we should not be helping them. The biggest weakness of China is not their military, is their economy. The economy is highly fragile, highly indebted, $53 trillion of accumulated debt, and the military with the arsenal which is not reliable. So attack the economy first, tackle the military later. That's what I'm trying to make.
All right, we have run out of time. Appreciate everybody who joined us for this important matter. We take a short break now. We'll be right back.